golf team. But the story goes more detail. But
no worries,
yeah. So kind of went back and forth between OSU and OBU, and turned out a guy that was like the executive pastor at our church was on the board of trustees at OBU, and he was like, "Yeah, I can get you a meeting with the golf coach." And,
wow.
Because I was like decent in high school, but I wasn't ever like, great. I mean, I got top 10 a bunch in my senior year, but like I tied for first in one tournament in a conference. But I mean, for the most part, I was just a very better than average high school golfer, but no, standout. And so, I mean, I had talked to a few really small colleges, and then I was like, OBU would be cool. Like OSU is like totally out of the realm because they're national champions and they'll probably win again. But,
sure.
So I was able to walk on. I played well, gave me some scholarship money, and been on scholarship since, on and off, top 5, just because it's pretty competitive.
Yeah.
There are those kids that are, they won their tournaments in high school, and then they've just gotten even better. And
sure.
It's tough to beat them, but
well, sounds like you're competitive too, Shane.
Keep trying, yeah. It's tough, but yeah, I still love the game and love to go out and play.
Cool.
So I realized it's what got me to OBU, and I felt like that was where I should have been. Because I could have went to OSU, and that's where my brother went. He's a mechanical engineer.
Yeah.
And I could have gone there and been like the thousands of other students that go there. And he said, it's tough when you're applying for jobs because you're like, yeah, I'm from OSU, and I'm just like everybody else that's applying for this job.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that OBU is different in that way. It's a private Christian university, so I feel like, I know the interaction between professors and students is a lot better than, OSU. And people are like, yeah, I don't even know my professor. Like, I never talked to them. They've never talked to me. They don't know what I look like or my name, really. They just, check me off on roll or whatever.
Yeah.
So I really like that, getting to know, sometimes me and my roommates will just be walking through the business center and stop by offices of the professors we want to talk to and hang out for a little bit. So I really like that, getting to kind of network with them and understand them. My dad's a small business owner. Back in 1988, he started his company and married my mom the same year. Had my brother 4 years later. The company's still going. So he sold the one in California and started another one in Oklahoma.
Cool.
That was another thing. When we moved here, the only state that didn't have somebody registered in his contractors association was Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And so there was like one really small competitor that wasn't even like registered.
Sure.
And so they're like, well, that's a perfect opportunity.
Yeah.
Nobody competing against really. So we just kind of moved in and took over, and he's ready to get out. He's 59.
Okay.
He's going to be 59. So
just run his course.
He's like, when you graduate, I'm done.
Yeah.
And now he's like, well, I already paid for this semester. Like, I don't know why I'm still like even going. I might as well just stop. So
sounds like your dad's a pretty cool guy.
Yeah, he's
entrepreneur and somebody who's got his smarts and his stuff together.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's great. What's his business in?
It's a concrete sawing and drilling company.
Cool.
So it was just a weird thing. He was working as a plumber for my mom's stepdad, and he had hired concrete cutters. That guy charged $300 to drill one little hole in the concrete.
Sure.
Because nobody wants to deal with concrete when it's hard.
Yeah.
And so he went out and bought a saw. He got thrown off his first job that he ever went to, and he kept at it. And
cool.
Yeah.
Knows how to overcome adversity.
Yeah. I mean, he built it up decently big in LA. We had probably like 15, 20 employees.
Yeah.
And then here it's been about 7 to 10.
Cool. It's still a good workforce, and you can bring in some good cash when you got a good team. So that's the tricky part as business owners, to find quality help and people that do the work at the level you do it at.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of landscaping when I was young, and I had a lot of people that would just refer me, and my quality of work was very high, but when I started hiring some of my buds to do it or put them on a job, they would take smoke breaks all the time or not do it right. And then I'd have to go clean up the mess, and my reputation went down. So that's always the balance point, right? Bringing in enough business, but also making sure the quality is where you want it to be. So quality control.
Yeah.
And what are you going into, Shane? What's your degree?
Social entrepreneurship, technically.
Okay.
that's the OBU thing. So like at OSU, I was looking just at entrepreneurship, and at OBU, it's social entrepreneurship, which is really cool because I didn't know much about it, but it's basically businesses that try to, give back or make a difference. So there's a lot of nonprofits involved, but I mean, there's still companies like Tom's Shoes.
Yeah.
They give a pair of shoes to someone in need. Warby Parker Glasses does the same thing.
Yep.
And you see a lot of companies like Walmart and car companies that are trying to promote, like, hey, this is what we do. Our green programs, our factories run on, green energy or whatever, that kind of stuff. Just to where if people are going to buy a product, they would rather buy the one that's going to help either people in need or give back to a good cause.
Yeah.
So it's kind of starting businesses that have that social impact, or they go a little bit deeper than just, hey, here's our spreadsheet of how much money we made, and we're gonna keep doing that.
Makes sense. Cool. Well, it sounds like it's an emerging market, and it sounds like it's something that can be applied to multiple different lines or businesses, or there's a lot you can do with it, right? Yeah. So that's neat. Cool, man. Well, thank you for the story. And so you're the baby in the fam.
I am.
Okay.
Yeah, I have one older brother. He's 5 years older.
Cool.
Yeah, he works in Tulsa. He moved to Dallas. Job was different than he was expecting. He thought he was going to be like, designing, working on like cam.
Yeah.
I can't think of like auto cam. It's
CAD.
CAD. Okay. That's what it is.
Cool.
CAD design. He thought he was going to be doing that stuff, and he ended up like, I don't know if you've seen the movie Office Space.
Uh-huh.
So he was the guy in the cubicle, making spreadsheets. He's like, I have a mechanical engineering degree. This is not what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And so he left for after 6-8 months.
Came back.
He worked for my dad. And they had kind of butted heads. And my brother he was doing jiu-jitsu, and he ended up totally destroying his knee, folded this way.
Yeah.
Basically a whole year's recovery before he could do anything normal or relatively normal.
Yeah.
But that was a good thing that happened because my parents and him were kind of going back and forth, and they were looking for an out for him. And they said, look, you can't do this job with a hurt knee.
Sure.
It's not going to happen. And if you hurt it again, you might never walk the same or whatever. And so, and he's like, yeah, you're right. This isn't what I'm wanting to do anyways. This was just a Band-Aid because the job in Dallas. And so now he works at a place called Helicomb. They make military aircraft parts.
Sounds fun.
A machine that's the size of this office that makes carbon fiber airplane parts. And
wow.
So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome, man. It sounds like he's found his calling, and he's happy now. So sometimes you got to take that path. We have a funny joke that says, how success works, right? And most people think it's, time and success, and it's a graph like that, but it's really a graph like this, and it makes no sense, and it's a long journey. So good. Cool, man. Well, let's jump into things. I want to tell you, my experience. I've been with the company now for 13 years. I was an architecture major. I got a degree, 5 years of going through that. I'm from New Mexico, and basically had never done sales before this. So I've worked in an after-school program watching kids. I've done a job in landscaping. Essentially, I just wanted something to pay for a snowboarding trip. So I decided that, I'd work hard in the summer, make a bunch of money, spend it all in the fall, and then be broke. And I really wanted to go on this one. So I found this on a campus, actually, at a table, and I received a lot of little flyers and heard about it, but never really considered it for myself, threw them away, thought it was something that was sketchy. Anyway, went in for the interview, never heard of Cutco, never heard of Vector. I ended up loving it. I went into training. My parents thought the salespeople were the devil and I shouldn't become one. And a lot of my motivation was just kind of proving them wrong. I was from a small town too. I didn't know a lot of people at first. So my initial goal was, I know 10 people I can get $15 off of to show, and I'll pay for my trip, and I'll be out. So obviously it didn't go as planned. I made about $2,500 in my first 2 weeks over my winter break. I was fortunate that I had time and I worked really hard for that. But I've coached a lot of people to do something similar. I went to a couple conferences, saw the bigger picture of the company. There were some people that were making six figures doing the rep job and not even as a manager. And I was like, wow, this place has promise. And I think what I really learned quickly was the people were a whole nother level of leaders than I had ever been exposed to. And what I really enjoyed was the product was something that was backed with a guarantee, and it was something that I could believe in. I didn't feel like I was cheating people or guilty for selling it, So anyway, I kept selling. I won a scholarship. We offer 100 of those a year. I won my first in my first 4 months, and then I got a promotion to an assistant for a summer. So that went well. At that point, I was like, I was good for the run that I did, but I'm out, and I got to focus on my degree and everything. And then they had this thing called a branch program, which is through our Leadership Academy. We run about an 8 to 10 month course throughout the year. We coach people that have never run a business before on everything from how to interview, how to recruit, how to train, how to develop, how to coach. We also teach them skills like how to open up an office, and then we also give them $8,000 they don't have to pay back as a free gift. So you think about an unpaid internship. Well, ours is kind of a paid internship, right? And what's really cool about it is we give them an opportunity in the summer to open, operate, and then close their business and go back to school if they choose. So I did that in 2007 in Amarillo, Texas. First time ever on my own. Learned a ton about myself. I learned a ton about other people, and went back to school. And to be honest, Shane, school was pretty easy after running your own business for a summer, So I went into my junior year of my 5-year degree, and I realized that everybody else that I had been, competing against for a lot of projects in school, they were struggling now with time management and balance and figuring out how to make money and work a job and still get school done. And balance wasn't my issue. I was able to manage my own time. I was able to get projects done effectively, and the skills were a whole next level. So it really set me apart from my peers. You talked about like being at OSU, right? It's like, hey, I'm one of the other 500, right? Yeah. Well, in a position like this, it gave me all the soft skills that big employers were looking for. I started to be offered internships through the networking I did here. Won a couple more scholarships. I ended up winning 4 throughout my college career. In 2018, I helped run a top-level office in Denver. We did about $500,000 in sales in one summer. I made some great money, met some incredible people, and then was into my senior year and, was surprised I'd be a dad. So it was either, go to master's school and figure out how to pay the bills or, support the fam and the kiddos. So I decided to stick with the company, open up my own district. And I ran that for 3 years in Albuquerque. We did great. We were nationally ranked. Got promoted to Denver, ran half the city for another 4 years, was nationally ranked, put out multiple other offices during that time, developed some great leaders. And then kind of in 2015, I was ready to move up or move on. I loved the company, and but my wife wanted to go to grad school, and we had another kid, and it was like, all right, it's time to get serious, So I decided to move up and move my whole family out here in 2016 to take over the Great Plains division. So basically my new job description is I run the state of Oklahoma and Northwest Arkansas. I've got about 1 of 40 positions in the company right now. And basically I get paid to do 3 things. Number 1, make this office crank. Number 2, make sure I put out more managers and fill all of our territories. So I'm always looking for more branch or district managers. And number 3, to develop our events team. So we set up booths at home shows, state fairs, RV shows. We sold $330,000 last year at the Oklahoma City State Fair. Did another $160,000 just at the booth at Tulsa. That doesn't include any of our orders after that when we follow up with clients. And last year, just throughout the state, we did over $1 million in sales total at all the booths that we work. So last week we sold 90 grand between Dallas and this area. We're kind of a co-team at 9 different events, and we've just got the number 1 events team in the company, and we're really good at what we do. So I'm very proud of what I do, and I'm proud of the growth that we've experienced too. When I came out here, there was 1 office in Tulsa that was underperforming, so I shut that guy down and opened up 5 of my own. We did just under $1 million in sales in our first 8 months. In 2017, we had 8 offices. We eclipsed over 2 million, and last year with 11 offices, we grew about 2.4 million. It was a little bit of a step back with some restructuring, but this year we're looking at about a $3.5 million a year with about 8 offices. So the cool thing is the potential is to have 20 offices throughout the state with small territories in the summer. And this is the year where we're really going to be able to develop our people and eclipse that. So I'm really fired up about just finding great leaders, business partners that I can grow with, people that want to learn incredible skills. And the program that we run, as I mentioned, has been written up in 6 different college textbooks. It's currently taught at 7 universities nationwide. We have an amazing alumni list. Rod Smith, the wide receiver of the Denver Broncos, He sold Cutco in college before he got into the NFL. The owner of Uber, Travis Kalanick, right? He's published an article. I could go on and on. Politicians, lawyers, engineers, just so many people, because we're the largest employer of young people in college students in America. And we've been around since 1949. So people know us, you know, and it's a great thing to have on a resume. You know, a lot of people, they do this as a stepping stone job, Shane. Some people use it as a career like me. I never thought I'd be here 13 years later, right? But at this point, I'm 33. Well, birthday's coming up, and I'm 30. You know, I'll be 33, and I couldn't imagine myself being anywhere else at this point. But I'd say the majority of people don't use it as a career. They use it as a stepping stone. They come into the company, they learn some incredible skills about developing, sales skills, about psychology, about time management, goal setting, people, just all those fundamentals. And then they use that to be able to, like I said, get ahead of their peers and land their dream job in the future. And a lot of employers actually got their start in vector marketing. So they see vector and they say, oh, tell me, you know, and the one question everybody asks is, what was your fast start? Because the first 2 weeks we have this competition, everybody has the same one. And so it's always this question. It's kind of like, if you're the in crowd, that's the question you get asked, you know? So anyway, that's kind of my trajectory of my 13-year career in a nutshell, man. And I've loved every minute of it. The people, the products, the programs, that's what we're really built around. So I want to give you a 10-minute overview of what we do, how we do it. That way, most of the questions you might have, I can answer. And at the end of that, if there are any, hey, I'm an open book, man. So we like to be extremely transparent, give you all the info up front. I went to some other sales interviews when I was young in college, and it was always just shocking to me on how companies wanted to give you just what they wanted to give you and not everything else, right? And then when I started looking into it, it was like, I don't know if that's really my thing. So not that it's bad or it's sketch, it's just they didn't give it all up front, you know? So we like to, kind of pride ourselves on being super transparent. So anyway, I'll tell you a little bit more about us. Have you ever heard of Cutco? You mentioned, I think, that your parents own it, right?
Yeah, so we got like a gift set, I think, from somebody, but it's, well, with the exception, I bought my dad a knife. I don't know if you know Jesse James from West Coast Shoppers. Yeah. He makes guns and knives now. Yeah. So I bought my dad one of his chef knives for his birthday. Yeah, his birthday, and it ended up taking like 8 months because he like actually makes them by hand. So, with the exception of that one, my mom uses Cutco chef knife and a couple other like fruit knives and stuff. Cool. So it was just a gift set. I mean, but it's what she uses all the time. And
she probably loves them.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Some people are like, I don't know about the job, but man, the product's great. So cool. Well, let me give you a little bit of an overview. We also donate to charities. I know you're mentioning that, but the Front Row Foundation is people braving a critical health challenge that are local in the area, and we raise money to give them a front row experience of their life. And 50% of the people we sponsor end up passing away at some point. So we make like a movie about it, and we make like a small movie, like a production in a book and stuff like that too. And this is some of our scholarship info. So anyway, Cutco's been around since 1949. We're handmade in America in upstate New York. We're selling the same property that we initially started on. We sell about $250 million a year worth of our product, and we have the #1 student program in America as well. So we have about 20 million plus clients that own our product and know about us. And one of the strongest markets in our area is actually out in Tulsa, oddly enough. So a lot of people love it out there, and some of our top reps are out there too. We've got 3 what we call Cutco sales professionals. These are people that sell Cutco as a career. And last year, all 3 of them sold over $250,000. When you add their bonus into their pay structure, they make 50% commissions, or what we call half baby. So take their sales divided by 2, and that's kind of their income before expenses, which is pretty cool. So anyway, this is a little bit more about us. What's really cool about it is our products sell themselves. We really don't need salespeople. So one of our favorite demonstrations is our scissors. I figured you didn't have a penny because most people don't, but these are our super shears. And if I were to use a normal pair of scissors to do something like this, what would normally happen, Shane?
It'd get dull,
or they'd break, penny would hit you, right? So this is what we do and teach our reps to do in every demo, but we use these to cut through cardboard, linoleum, carpet, rubber hose, hard plastics. If you've ever gone to Walmart or Sam's Club, you always have that hard plastic with the security packaging. People hate that, right? So this just burns right through it. And pretty much, in my opinion, they're impossible to damage because in 13 years, I haven't had one of my reps do it. So souvenir for you, you can keep it. Cool. What's neat about it is they're dishwasher safe. They come apart for easy cleaning, and they have a serrated edge on them too. So they grab on like chicken bone, broccoli, things like that. We really love them because, as far as the product goes, it sells itself, right? I like to joke and say, dude, if I can teach you how to smile and cut a penny, you could probably sell our product, So you can check them out. They're pretty heavy duty. We also have some different colors as well. This is just part of our presentation that we do for demos. This is kind of the junk type of product that's out there compared to our quality product. We talk about the main differences, and we do a couple of demonstrations with our knives. We have a patented unique double D edge that stays sharp for about 10 years, and then we also have a forever guarantee. So identical to Rolex watches, Zippo lighters, Craftsman tools, Snap-on tools, bend it, break it, damage it, whatever, replace it for free, no questions asked. We even have clients that pass it down for 3 generations. Original owner's dead, no paperwork necessary. If it's tucked, it's guaranteed. Yeah. So it's pretty neat, and that's what I loved is when I sold the product. Even if I didn't stick around for more than a couple months, I knew that the people I did sell to, they would be covered forever. Yeah. So there was none of that kind of guilt feeling either. We have a great assortment of different items, anything from just the kitchen products, right, to different color handles and wood blocks. We also have trays. We have some kitchen tools to match. We have small sets. We also have large sets like this guy here. So this is our biggest one, and people really love to cook. And then we have obviously smaller options too. So for people that are kind of on their own or live in an apartment, we have anything from 4 knives all the way up to 32. So we've got a big variety, and we can always customize too. We offer flatware, which I think is pretty neat. We also offer a full line of cookware. Everything we make is handmade in America, guaranteed forever, and the best of its kind. We also offer gift sets. Your parents already got one of those. Yeah. Offer gadgets as well, things like our ice cream scoop, pizza cutter, cheese knife, best knife in the world. If you don't own a set, at least get that. We also own K-Bar, so that's the standard issue military knife. And, we can't sell all of the K-Bars, but we do custom engravings and etchings. We also do custom closing gifts for a lot of realtors and mortgage loan officers, so that's a big program we do as well. Barbecue tools, gardening tools, pocket knives. We also have all these gift sets, as I mentioned, with the engravings and so forth. So we have over 100 different items that we sell, and it's a big assortment of it as well. So it's pretty cool stuff. So it's kind of a little bit more about the product. Who's our market? A lot of people ask, well, we don't go to like Chili's and try to sell them, on a corporate level. It just doesn't work for us. Really, we just do a residential market. So it's a lot of homeowners, a lot of, honestly, just soccer moms, right? So we target married people over 30 that own homes that are cooking for their kids and just in the kitchen pretty often. So we like to say the average American probably cooks about 3 to 4 times a week, and on average, they'll buy our most popular set if they cook that much. If they cook more than that, they'll buy one of our bigger options, but that's pretty normal for us as well. So, yeah, but it's mostly a residential market. So as far as our sales program goes, I mentioned at the career fair, no door-to-door, no cold calling, no canvassing. It's 100% based on personal referrals and word-of-mouth advertising. So we're not surprising people with sharp objects, right? Mm-hmm. All of our appointments are preset. People know what they are, and in most cases, they're already interested in checking it out. Some buy, some don't. Doesn't matter. We pay either way, so there's no pressure or pushiness us here at all. If the rep client does buy, of course, the rep makes more, but if they don't buy, rep still gets paid. So it's not, like, you better buy this or I cut myself type of thing, right? Which I really enjoyed because I never wanted to be considered that high-pressure, pushy kid, so which was pretty cool. All referrals are warm leads, so the average client will recommend us to about 5 to 10 of their friends. Some people don't believe in referrals, so every now and then we'll have a client that's like, yeah, I just don't do that. That's fine. Every now and then we'll also have a client who, before we even start the presentation, is like, by the way, all my friends cook, and I've got like 20 people, and you're like, oh, this is easy, right? So, and we've got everywhere in between. That's why we say it's an average. So even with just 5, if a rep goes out and shows 10 people with 5 leads off of each, they're going to have 50 more people to contact and set up appointments. So as far as running out of people to call or anything like that, it's not an issue. We also have a Facebook referral program now. The average user of Facebook's 35. They post on their Facebook, they mention Cutco. All their friends that are also that age are like, Cutco, I love that stuff. And then somebody like, what is Cutco, right? Yeah. Oh, you got to get it. And, and it's, obviously the rep is tagged in it. So they're just getting all these updates and new leads. So we've got a lot of creative programs like that too. Reps set up their own appointments. That way the person who calls to set it up is the person who shows it. And the average appointment is 45 minutes to an hour. My longest one was 3 hours, but the lady loved it. She fed me, and I sold $4,000 at 50%. So I made $2,000, so I was okay with that. Yeah. And that's why we don't pay by the hour or time. It's really about the value, and it's about the relationship, as you can imagine. So when reps are new, we want them starting with people that they know, just for practice. A lot of people are a little uncomfortable with it. What's cool is there's no memorization of the program. We have something called our training manual. Looks like this. everything is scripted out, so it's very simple. And as long as a rep can basically read, cut food, and smile and be themselves, they can handle it. Obviously, if they want to put and add some lines in, they're more than welcome to, but it's very simple. And most of our reps really enjoy the fact that they have this because they don't have to be that confident or memorize anything. It's just be yourself, go over there and have some fun, you know?
Yeah.
So it works out really nicely. We call these paid practice presentations. So when a rep is new, we like them showing mom, dad, friends and family, aunts and uncles. I forgot to mention, but we have something called our online virtual appointments. So we can now use a PowerPoint thing called a Prezi. I'm sure you've heard of it. We have a corporate version. All of our videos and demonstrations are preloaded up there. So as long as somebody can talk on the phone, sit in their PJs, and play a couple videos for a client online, they can make good money. So we also don't have any territories, so reps can sell anywhere in the United States if they want to. We had a girl out of Tulsa that went to Kansas University, or whatever, KU, and she was on her Thanksgiving break, couldn't go back home for whatever reason, and so she started the job right before, had a lot of time, only did virtual presentations from her dorm room. She sold $10,000 in her first 2 weeks and made $2,000 just sitting in her PJs, and most of those people were back in Tulsa, but she was obviously up in Kansas. So pretty cool programming. I know you've got the distance with OBU and everything, so but if you go home often, it's not a bad gig either.
Yeah, we still have plenty of friends back in California too.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, and I'm sure with your dad's, network of his business and things like that, a lot of times like big companies like Concrete Ones, they'll actually engrave their blade with their logo and their name and phone number, and then it becomes an advertising expense versus a gift, which is a big difference in write-offs and taxes and things like that. So it looks really, really neat too. So
he's done pocket knives before.
Okay. Yeah, totally. So
job blocks or whatever. He's like, hey, here's a pocket knife.
Yeah.
Or, like the super cheap ones because I mean, he's like some clients. It's like, oh yeah, I'd like to give him a nicer one, but I mean, then there's also the guy you're like, I don't really give him one, but I'll give him this one.
You can have last year's version. Yeah, I get that. Cool. We like to say that the average rep feels pretty confident after showing 10 to 20 of their friends and family. And again, there's no pressure to buy. We actually tell the friends and family on the phone and when we show up at the appointment, hey, you don't have to buy anything, Shane. I'm doing this just to get practice. But if you see something you like, I can definitely save you money and give you a great deal. That's basically word for word. So the reason we do that is we want them to gain practice and gain confidence, right? And also when they're sitting with family and friends, if they make a mistake, like I sucked on my demo with my mom and dad, but my mom and dad still bought because it was a good product. They wanted to help me, they don't have to at all. And our reps still get paid either way. So, I'll also say that there's no limit. So some reps, we had a kid last year that literally went 60 appointments straight before he ever called a referral because he knew so many people and he loved the product. And he's like, dude, why would I not want to show everybody I know? Right. So he's like, I'm just calling my friends. And we're like, that's cool. And by the time he jumped into referrals, he had like 100 or 200 base already to jump into, So again, every rep's different, kind of a case by case basis, but we want them to get that practice first. So we just don't give out leads to our reps because we don't need to. If a rep only knows 10 people, 5 leads a piece, they now got 50 becomes 200. And we're not really worried about much. So as far as the schedules go, it's 100% on our reps' time. So reps come in and meet with the manager once, maybe I like to do it once a week, but if they can't make the drive in, we use online, FaceTime, whatever, and have a 30-minute meeting, talk about how last week went, figure out what their other objectives are for next week, and then we make that plan. What I love most is that I had full control of my schedule. There's no quotas, there's no maximums, there's no minimums. So when I was in school, if I had a big project for architecture, it was simple. Hey man, I got a busy week and I'm not going to be working. And my manager would say, sweet man, we won't put you into the sales goal for the week. Good luck on your projects. Let me know how they go. And then the week after, it's like, hey, passed it, did well. And now our next project's a couple weeks out. I got time. He's like, sweet, what are your goals? What do you want to go after? And I could put my parties in. I could put my workout schedule. I could put my relationship, everything in first. And then around that, I could say, cool, I could fit a couple here. I could fit one here. And then it's just setting up the appointments through phone time. So that dynamic control was really nice for me because I don't know if you've ever had a split schedule day where you got a couple classes and then a big break and then a couple more. It's kind of tough sometimes to want to do homework in the middle. You need a mental release. So something like this, I can make a little bit of money and then go right back to school. So that was the big difference for sure. And eventually when a rep gets trained right, they can move up into our events team, which is where they can actually work the booths on the home shows and things like that. We don't start in there right away. But I like that too, because I could focus on school Monday through Friday, go to a big event on the weekend and make some good cash. Wasn't every weekend that I was doing that, but I did have one where I sold 10 grand between Saturday and Sunday. And when I was making 50%, you can see why I graduated debt free.
Yeah.
So the basis though, Shane, is part-time reps. I would say do about 7 to 10 appointments a week. That's pretty average. And again, there's no quotas, but I'm just trying to give you examples. A full-time rep probably does about 15 to 20 a week, depending on how they want to work it. In the summer, they might take 1 or 2 days off and then do 3 to 4 a day, 4 to 5 days a week. And that's kind of how they're full-time. But at a job like this, once their commissions get higher, they can kind of work, a part-time schedule and earn a full-time income, which is really neat. So we also have some weekend warriors. Like I said, they just work on the weekends. We're cool with that too. So I even have reps that are like, hey man, I'm just going to do 3 appointments a week because I just need a little bit of spending cash. And I'm like, hey, every order counts. It helps us hit our goal. I appreciate it. And then when they get to their winter breaks or their spring breaks or the summer, man, they've got tons of leads, and that's when they really step it up. So but that control is pretty awesome. And some people even use it as a fallback income after they leave the company. They're like, hey, I still have Cutco. And so every now and then they'll get a reorder and make a little bit of cash off of it. So we have reps pop up that I've never even met, from 10 years ago. And I'm like, oh, hey, thanks for that. I appreciate it. But it comes. I already mentioned the no territories. As far as sales averages go, the average client in this office purchases about 70% of the time. So that includes our top reps that are probably at 90% closings and our new reps, right? But 7 out of 10 buy. So we get a lot more sales than you might think because people can buy a whole set and they can also buy one knife, right? Yeah. So it's not like car sales where it's like you either buy it or you don't, right? Mm-hmm. With this, people can buy a little bit and then add on. The average client buys about 5 or 6 times over a lifetime, and the average sale we make is about $300 right now in this office. $300 might seem like a lot of money, but when you're talking about married people over 30 that own a house, it's really just a grocery bill. And the nice part is we have what we call our no interest investment options. So any purchase they make, they can break into 2, 3, or 5 monthly payments. No interest, no contract, no credit check. We just charge them 1/5 today, ship the product, trust that they pay for it. They don't pay for it, company deals with that, the rep still gets paid in full up front. So basically, you sell lots of knives, we pay you lots of money. It's kind of how this breaks down. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's really nice because you got to remember we work with college kids. So we're not dealing with realtors and investors or any of that. We keep things very, very simple for them because we have to, So it's a pretty no risk type of opportunity is what I'm trying to tell you, Mm-hmm. So you think about $1,000 order. One of our reps had that a couple of days ago. You break that down into 5 monthly payments. It's $200 a month, $50 a week for a married person over 30 that cooks all the time. They're going to replace their kitchen, for $1,000. Like, why not? So it breaks down pretty well. A couple last things, and I'll wrap up. The pay section is very simple. We pay $18 per appointment. It's a guaranteed amount no matter what. Person just needs to be over 30 and, make sure that they're not like, unemployed, right? We want to make sure that they have a job. But
go to the dorm room and just
exactly. Yeah, we're not trying to sell to college kids or anything like that, Shane. So what I really loved though is the people that we were showing were 30, 40, 50, and those are the people I'd be interviewing with for my architecture in the future. So I was like basically getting interview practice with the exact market that I need in the future. So it was really good for my confidence with older people when I was a little bit younger. Our commissions start at 10%. And they go up from there. So basically from 0 to 1,000, a rep makes 10%. These are career sales. So these aren't weekly, monthly, yearly, any of that. Once a rep sells over $1,000 for their career, it could take them a day. It could take them a week. Once they're over $1,000, they'll never make less than 15% again because they get a promotion. Mm-hmm. And they could literally leave for 3 months, come back, and we'll start them exactly at that where they left, which is pretty cool. Yeah. Once they're at 3,000, they get bumped to 20%. Once they're at 6,000, they get bumped to 25%. And what we have is a comment called Dirty 30, because once they're at 10,000, they make 30%, which in our opinion is pretty dirty, right? Yeah. You have $1,000 sale. It's basically a full week's paycheck at a normal hourly job, right? So $300 right off the bat, not bad. So it's pretty cool. And some of our reps, for myself, I worked really hard in my first 2 weeks. I got all 4 of those promotions, so that's how I earned $2,500 so quickly, and I never had to worry about making less than 30% again. Some reps are just consistency club members. They do 7 appointments a week. They sell $1,000. 10 weeks, they're at 30%. They never look back, and now they're making pretty good money, right? And in the summer, we've even had students that are brand new that'll sell $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, and they'll make $12,000, 14, 15,000 bucks in income. Because again, there's no ceiling, right? So we're
Yeah.
not capping an income, which we're breaking our own records year after year, which is pretty insane. This one office last year did $1.8 million worth of Cutco sales. So pretty proud of that number. And I'm looking for more leaders. Our goal was 2 million, but we obviously missed it by a bit. So again, promotions only go up, they never go back. And then once they're at 20% and above, there is an opportunity to earn bonus. Bonus is based on a monthly quota though. So they always get their 30% now, but as long as they're eligible and qualified with their sales for the month, they get bonus at the end of the month. And that can be anywhere from a 5, 10, 15, or 20% bonus based on their career total. So that's where we get the career people making 50%, right? Which is always a cool thing for sure. Reps don't get both, they get the higher of the two. If at the end of the week they've done 10 appointments at $18 and it's a $180 base, well, if that's higher than the commission they made off their sales because they had a bad week, hey, keep the $180, no big deal. If the rep made a lot more than 180 though, we pay them the commission instead. So we always pay them as much as we can, but they don't get both. They get the higher of the two. So, yep. Cool. As far as training goes, it's a 2-day training. We run it here in the office. Some reps are like, hey, this sounds great. Let me get started now, build up momentum. And in the summer, let me go big. Some reps are like, hey, I'm really busy now. I'm a little uncertain about it, but after finals are over, let me get started. I'd leave the option up to you. My advice to you would be get started now though, because it never hurts. And the sooner you can kind of get a little bit of sales under your belt, the sooner you can get some income, the better. But again, we're running training now, and we'll also be running training in the summer. And the summer's insane, man. That's where we have big conferences down in Dallas and Austin. We're networking with people all over Texas and things. And the sales competitions, we give away really cool trophies like samurai swords. We give away like really neat stuff. But it's a blast. We have 2-week sales competitions called push periods where everybody just goes Cutco nutso for a couple of weeks and paychecks get stacked. Like we have 18-year-old kids that are making more money than they should be legal, and they're getting weekly. Oh, and I forgot to mention we pay weekly. So every Friday they get a direct deposit on a Friday. So all the paychecks you saw out there, those are 1-week paychecks. Those aren't like bi-weekly or anything. So a lot of our reps like that because in the summer, when you only have 12 weeks to work, right? Instead of being paid only 6 times, you get paid 12. And it's a lot nicer right before the weekend to have an income, So, but yeah, training is 2 days. We don't pay people to come to training. So it's basically an unpaid thing. But we also don't charge them to come either. So they get all the information, all the knowledge free of charge. We also pay for all of their supplies. So all the demo material, the blue book, their kit, everything like that, we cover. So there's no cost to attend or anything like that either. So yeah, a lot of companies, when I started, by the way, you'll hear stories of like, oh yeah, back to marketing, it costs money to get in. That's true, not anymore though. So when I started 13 years ago, I had to put down what they called a deposit, which was really a payment of $150 to start. I was getting $500 worth of Cutco. If I brought it back, I got a full refund, right? But if I wanted to keep it, then I could keep it. But in order just to start the job, I had to put down $150. We removed that program about 4 or 5 years ago. So if you've heard things like that, they are true, but we've changed our program because in today's society, you shouldn't have to pay money to start a job, right? So what we do instead is it's one of the perks. We loan a $400 kit to our reps, completely free of charge, no deposit. We just trust them. And they use it, they demo it, whatever. When they're done working, they either leave it with us and they move on to their next job, or they can buy it. And if they choose to buy it, they never have to. They get a 75% discount and they get it for only $90. So you can imagine brand new Cutco, guaranteed forever. $90, 75% off, kind of is a no-brainer, but we never make them do that at all. So we even have some people that are like 10 grand in sales. I'm like, you made like 3 grand. You should probably buy your kit. It's only $90. And they're like, yeah, I don't know. And I'm like, all right, whatever, man. It makes no difference to me. We actually lose money on the program, right, because of the discount, but yeah, we like to reward our people. So last few perks, man, the flexibility, I mentioned that earlier. I think that's phenomenal. You think about getting an internship or another job in the summer. All of a sudden you're like, hey, I'm going to Orlando for a week. And they're like, whoa. We can't do that. Well, with us, it's like, sweet, man. Not to mention, do you know people in Orlando? Because you can work out there, right? And we have to actually have reps that make money on vacation, sometimes more than they even spent on the vacation, which means they got paid to go, which is pretty cool. But we're very relaxed with that, and we just like to know about it in advance so our sales goals meet what we actually are going to hit for the week, So it's just communication. Advancement, we're looking for about 3 more assistant managers in this office currently. I've promoted people to an assistant manager within 2 to 3 weeks before if they're the right kid. We've got an event coming up in Houston in about 2 weeks as well, and we're really excited about bringing all of our leaders down there. We've got the North and the South Tulsa office out there. as well. So, a rep can get started here and then transfer out there if they want to. Again, it's always what's best for the rep. So we're all a big team. We're all going after a common goal. We just want to make sure we put our people first. So that's not a problem at all. And our team, I mean, we're on fire right now, man. We've got some really awesome people. I've worked extremely hard coming out here to develop those people. I like to say that I'm the pencil sharpener, right? I find the pencil and give them a little bit of sharpening up and make sure that they're ready to rock. And next year, we're looking to fill all of our territories. So, if somebody does well as a rep, sells big, then they can move into our advancement programs. We even have something called a district manager for somebody that's graduating or not in college. And this is somebody who opens up year-round instead of just for a summer. Their first year, we give them $22,000 worth of startup cash for their business. They don't have to pay back. This helps them pay for their advertising, for their office rent, for their supplies. We don't just give them a $20,000 check. Obviously, we're intentional about how we work it. Yeah. But it's a pretty cool opportunity. Our average district manager right now is driving a brand new Black 3 Series Beamer. We pay for that after their first year in business. We also give them the $22,000 startup check, but after a year or two, our average DM is bringing in about an $80,000 to $100,000 income, and then they're also traveling the world for free. So every year we have a couple of trips we go on. Just got back from the Cayman Islands this year, which was cool. A year before that, I was in Munich, Germany. Picked up my Beamer out there for free, which was really fun. Got to drive the Autobahn. I'm a big car guy. A year before that, we were in Costa Rica. We've been to Rome. We've been to Prague. We've been to, we're going to Paris next year. I know I'm bragging about my job, but a lot of companies, they don't want you to take a vacay, and we offer it for free as long as they hit the quota and qualify. So it's kind of neat. So yeah, and other than that, man, just working with friends, loving what you do. I tell people all the time, if you don't love what you do, you should probably quit and get a different job.
Yeah.
Your brother's a good example of that, And for me, I have bad days, and there's times when I just want to run away. I think that's any business owner. But after a good night's rest, I wake up and I just look at how grateful I am to be able to do what I do, be able to impact future lives. And for me, it's not about the income. I've been offered great jobs that make a lot more than this. But for me, it's about the outcome. It's about helping people. It's about coaching young kids. It's about giving skills to kids that are 20, 21 that I wish I had at that age, right? Mm-hmm. And being able to help them make an impact in their future dream job or career that they want to do in the future. So yeah, so that's the overview. I'm sure it was a little bit longer than 10 minutes, but do you have any questions? Do you have any concerns or anything you want some clarity on?
I don't remember if you covered it. Is there any weekly, you said meeting, check-in?
Yeah.
My roommate, he did a Northwestern Mutual internship, and because I was talking to him about that, and it's kind of the same idea as far as, a few things are different, but just referral based, and it's not like cold calling, but you're basically
sure
talking with people and then finding people.
I interviewed with them, so I know their program. Yeah. So yeah, we have a weekly team meeting. It's either on Wednesday or Thursday night, depending on the year or depending on the time of year. It's about 2 hours long, and basically it's built around workshops. Our top reps come in and teach some really good skills. We do a little bit of role play. We give them an hour to make phone calls to kind of have forced accountability to set up their weekend. And then we'll also do recognition at the end, which is always a blast. So a little bit of crap talking in a friendly way. And people come to the front of the room being recognized for their hot news. And we have got a records board. And if you just look around the walls, there's names everywhere, and all these things are getting updated. People are pretty competitive here and trying to beat each other. So that's the only meeting we do that's kind of mandatory. And by the way, nothing's mandatory here, right? So at the end of the day, if somebody doesn't come, it's not like, oh, you're in trouble, right up. It's like, hey man, it would be beneficial if you were there, but we understand if you can't make it. So we do have makeup meetings, and we also have what we call phone jams, which are times preset that the office is open. People can come in, they can network, they can make calls. It's a lot more fun when you're in a family atmosphere than doing it on your own from your dorm room, but none of that's required or anything like that. Okay. So the only requirement that we really have is make sure you submit your paycheck info once a week so we can pay you, right? Yeah. And make sure that you're setting up a meeting with the manager so we can give you some coaching. Now, a lot of our reps like to call us often, like before and after appointments, to check in and ask for help. And that is something that we promote because I think it's beneficial. They don't have to be coming here 3 days a week or 5 days a week or anything like that. I've even had reps. I had a girl that worked for me out in Woodward. Her name was Heidi. McCowan, and she was 18, just graduated from high school. She already had a full-time job Monday through Friday. So she took one day off to come in for our training, or two day. Well, she didn't have Saturday. So she took one day off, right? She went through our training. And after that, I literally saw her once a month, but we would talk on FaceTime for 30 minutes over, once a week.
Mm-hmm.
And we just build that into our lunch break. But she sold 18 grand that summer and made $4,500 working part-time around her hourly job. So she loved it, and she crushed it up in Woodward, sold a ton of Cutco up there too. So yeah, but we're totally comfortable with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. Because my idea right now is that, I'll probably try to find like another full-time job and then also do this in theory. So, I'm interviewing with other people and figuring out their schedule too. But since this seems so flexible, it seems like it would work with just about any job, unless, I started a business or something crazy like that. But,
sure. Yeah. It's one of those things, what you put in is what you get out. Right? Yeah. So some people are a little bit cautious on it because, there's a little bit of risk, right? But the only thing about a job like this is you. People are like, I want a stable income. Well, the problem with that is if you get an hourly job, somebody else tells you what your hours are worth. And it doesn't matter how hard you work, you're going to get the same paycheck.
Yeah.
Right? So your income's pretty set. And that's safe, right? That's the way our parents' generation grew up, is like, hey, that's the safe way to go about it. But look at your dad as an entrepreneur, right? He can control the workload that he does. He can deny checks or jobs, right? And what kind of work he wants to do. But with that comes the reward of being able to say no to a job, take a vacay when he wants, being able to have a team that can support him. So if he needs to get time off, right? So a job like this, what you put in is what you get out. I like to say the job like this pays you for your value, not your time. So you think about it, what if you didn't get an hourly job? I'm not saying you have to do that. Mm-hmm. What if you just did this full-time for a summer?
Yeah.
Because if somebody starts this job and puts full-time, energy into it, the amount of reward that is possible at the end of that is ridiculous. Yeah. And with the safe base pay that we offer, it's like, you have a bad week, I'm sorry, you didn't make any sales, which would be really weird, by the way, Shane. But if that happened, you still made $180. That's plenty of money for gas and food until a good week. And then you have a good week, and it's like, that's when you start to make really good cash. So I had those same conversations. So I think they're pretty normal with my parents, with myself. My advice to people is, if you're unsure, give it a Trudeau. What's the worst thing that happens in 2 weeks? Right? I don't know, you get paid to hang out with family and friends that you're probably going to get hang out with anyway. Yeah. Right? And, maybe you cut yourself, won't throw a Band-Aid on it, right? But other than that, you get great experience, really good training, you build your resume, and you get paid to hang out with family. Sweet. Yeah. And at the end of it, if you like it, keep doing it. If you don't like it, well, at least you got the experience. Yeah. And you found that maybe it wasn't your thing. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. We have a lot of people that do internships. The guy, John Giacchino, is now running a second branch this summer out in Fayetteville. He goes to U of A. He's from Edmond. And his first summer, he had an internship with his mom. And that was with Morgan Stanley, and because he wanted to be a financial officer. So I think about 5 to 6 hours a day, Monday through Friday, he would work for his mom. And it was a paid internship, but it was $10, $11 an hour. It wasn't much. And when he started, he only sold $3 grand. So he made about $400 or $500 in his first 2 weeks. And then I looked at him and I was like, dude, so when are you going to get serious about this job? And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, there's a big competition coming up. I bet that if you just took it on full time, I'm not saying quit your internship, but full time, what could happen? So I challenged him to do that, kind of, pushed him away a little bit, and he didn't like that, so he proved me wrong. He sold $15,000 in his next 2 weeks, and he earned over $3,500 in 2 weeks. Wow. And that was around the internship. I was like, how do you feel now? And he's like, freaking great. And I was like, cool, you can keep doing the internship? And he's like, yep, but not after this summer. So he kept it for the summer, but by the end of the summer, he sold about $38,000. And what was crazy is he ended up winning a scholarship with us as well. I think that summer he earned about 13 grand just from our job, compared to the measly 2,300 he made from the internship. And he realized that he didn't really like finance anyway. So he changed his major and did something different. And now he's running a second branch, having a blast doing it and everything like that. So again, we're not opposed to that at all. I don't want you to feel like, well, if I took an hourly job, could I do this? Of course you could, man. I'm not trying to push you away like that at all. But I would question, what if you put a full-time energy into an experience and an opportunity like this? So especially for somebody that's well networked with California, with the ranch, Skiatook, is that how you say it?
Skytook.
Skytook. Okay,
Close.
now I know how to say it properly. Skytook.
Right.
So, you know, and also just with the kind of some of the network you have from college and your brother and things like that too. You just never know. So,
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I don't think so. We covered most of it. Not all of it.
Cool.
Yeah.
How do you how do you feel about the position and the opportunity at this point?
I really like it, honestly. And I wasn't asking like, you know, that I'm for sure going to take another job and just do it part time. I just like having the flexibility and the options moving forward.
For sure.
Because I mean, I still have almost 2 months before I graduate, so
yeah.
Just in case I do, you know, get some dream offer that, you know, I can't turn down or whatever.
Yeah.
I like having, you know, this, you know, as a fallback plan, it's really not that bad.
Sure.
And it still is hopefully going to be a part of my even dream plan or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's pretty exciting. But yeah, with golf, and, I mean, you're a car guy. I worked at a place called Rensport in Tulsa. I worked on German cars, Porsche, Audi, BMW.
Yeah.
Last 2 summers. The first summer I worked there, and I mean, I had worked on my truck and a few of our cars, but never GT3s and you know,
sure.
M3s and M4s and stuff. And so I was like, you know, honestly, I have a good basic understanding of, you know, working on cars. I just tell my boss because he, you know, has been there since the 70s, and he was like, I was like, I'm just gonna, you know, if I don't know, I'm gonna ask you because I know how expensive these cars are. I know how the owners are about these cars.
Yeah.
Because I mean, my grandpa was a big Porsche guy.
That's awesome.
We still have his, and my dad bought a 911 a couple of years ago, or a year or 2 ago. Corvette guy too, and so I was like, look, I just want to do everything right.
Yeah.
Try to get out of here with as few mistakes as I can, and I was like, you know, just tell me if I'm doing something wrong, whatever. So I worked there, and spring of the last year, they called me and they said, hey, our lead guy quit, and we need any help we can get.
Yeah.
And I really like he came back, and so I said, I need some more money, but the first summer I said, I'll work for $10 an hour because you don't know what you're getting. I haven't worked anywhere. I said, you tell me what you think I'm worth, and you know, I'll hopefully prove you wrong or whatever. And so, you know, at the end of the summer, I gave me a little bit of extra cash, but the next summer I worked for like $17 an hour. And,
nice.
So it was exciting.
$17 an hour ain't bad.
Yeah. So it was, but then there was the pressure of, okay, you've already done this for a summer, so now you need to start getting faster and more efficient, and you know, less time to diagnose stuff. And so.
Yeah, that's the tricky part, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, being able to, especially with cars, they have whatever the build amount of time, right? And it's like this fix takes this amount of time, so you better get it done, otherwise you're not going to get paid.
Yeah.
And maybe it's different when you're hourly, but most mechanic work is
flat rate. Is what they call it. So you say, okay, you're doing a brake job. You get paid for an hour of work. If you can do it in 30 minutes, then you're good. Which I mean, I think 30, 40 minutes is probably the fastest I ever did a brake job, all 4 brakes and rotors.
Yeah.
Pads and rotors. And but if you do it in 3 hours, you're still only getting paid for 1 hour work. And I mean, usually I think most shops will pay you like close to minimum wage or whatever, $10 an hour just to be there, and then you get your rate on top of that. But if you're not fast,
or if you run into a snag, right? Or you didn't know about something,
or you try to cheat something, and then you end up having to go back and do it the right way.
You forgot to put that one cotter pin in or something. You got to do it over. So cool. Well, why do you think it'd be a good fit for you, man?
I think I have a great network just to offer, and a lot of people that I know they know people that obviously already use Cutco. I'm honestly interested in the commission-based pay just because, I mean, I've had hourly jobs. I worked at Rensport. I worked at the golf course. I worked for my dad. Yeah. And I've experienced that, and not that there's anything wrong with it, but I would like to see how I would do with commission. I like the flexibility that I can, you know, to me, it kind of makes sense. A lot of people are going to be busy during the day working. And so, I mean, that's when I'd potentially be working somewhere else or, you know, planning out meetings. And then in the evenings, go do a bunch of showings or whatever. And
actually, I couldn't agree more. You'd be surprised at how many Americans now don't have the it's less than 50% actually of jobs are not Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
Wow.
So, I mean, let's just talk medical world or firefighter, right? Firefighters are on for 48 hours and then they're off for 3 days. And oftentimes those days are during the weekdays, right? And then what is it? They'll stay at home mom. Well, now you got the husband and wife there,
Yeah.
Or you think about a nurse, right? They're on for a shift and then off for a couple of days. So, or people that, drive, sometimes their hours are skewed, or they're early in the morning, but they're off by 2:00, or they don't go in until 2. So less than 50% of American jobs, are 9 to 5. So pretty interesting with the new way the world works. So but you'd be surprised at how many people are available during the day. So, and even if they're not, it's sometimes nice to just be able to, use your morning to hang with some friends, go to breakfast, work out, play around of golf, and then do 2 appointments that night and make more than your buddy did all week, which is always cool. And I love that you're curious about a commission thing. I think this is a safe way to do it because you still get paid no matter what, so you don't feel bad, but you have that safety net, but you also have the commission side where you get to figure out what you're really worth. That was what I loved most about my first couple of weeks on the job, is that the harder I worked, the more I made. And it wasn't easy, right? It was simple, but I loved that what I put in is what I got out. And at other jobs, that wasn't the truth, so that was kind of the way it works. Cool, man. Well, good. Well, I'd love to have you on the team. We can work something out. I just need to grab a couple papers. Okay. So you in?
Yeah.
Cool, man. Welcome. All right.
Thanks.
So I'm glad you came in today. Let me grab something real quick for us, and then we will